Hello students, so we are back with our second chapter, class 12th from Flamingo, and the chapter is Lost Spring by Anish Chang. So we now are going to start from page 15. We have already done in our first video of this chapter that Anish Chang, she got chances to talk to these children rag pickers many times, and she even got to know few names also. One name was Sahib Alam, and she was thinking that this is good that he is not educated boy, because otherwise if he knew the meaning of his own name, he would have felt very bad, and it would have been very difficult for him to lead this life of a rag picker. Because this is ironical that the name says Lord of the Universe, and he is doing the lowest job on this earth. So this way, this was a kind of friendship between this writer and the rag pickers and this group of boys. Now, one day, she just started talking about that why they are not wearing chappals, why they don't wear chappals. And then because one of the boys said that I'm not having the chappal, another said my mother doesn't give it to me, third was wearing the shoes but not of same pair. So this way she started thinking that it's not only here with these rag pickers. Actually, many times in many parts of India she had seen in villages and cities people not wearing chappal, and many times she tried to inquire the reason behind it, and maybe she was always told that this is kind of custom only, and she never knew whether it was custom or it is because of poverty. Now we start with page number 15, first para. And now here she is reminded of a story. Okay, I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. In the backyard, where lived a new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Actually, here, the story, we can say, is the episode is that she is now thinking about a story, okay, which was told to her about one particular boy who always longed for shoes. And this is only poverty, because this boy was the son of a priest, but the priest was maybe very loyal priest. He never maybe took money from the offerings in the temple. Maybe he took money only which maybe he deserved, or maybe he was getting as a salary to be the priest of that temple. And maybe in that salary it was not easy for him to afford shoes or chappal for his son. And this son, he would always be praying to the goddess for a pair of chappal. And then there is another priest. Now the time is changed. After 30 years, the living style is changed of the new priest. New priest is quite rich. He can afford to send his first of all his son to an English medium school because of the grey uniform and the shoes and the dress and the socks, everything. It shows that he goes to some English medium school. And here this boy, because maybe from very beginning he got the chappals and the shoes and everything, and that's why maybe he is not giving respect to all these things which he has always got. Okay, so this is the difference we get to know, that on one hand, one boy who belongs to a very poor family, he prays to goddess not for money, just for a pair of shoes. And on the other hand, a school going boy whose parents are rich enough to afford each and every basic thing for this child, and that's why maybe this child does not know how to respect all these things. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. And then she is reminded of one another story where a child maybe was always praying to God for the shoes, and when he got a pair of shoes, okay, he continued to pray to God. Now, for what? Now his prayer had changed, and this prayer was that please protect my shoes. I don't want to lose these shoes. Okay, so this is, we can say, the extent of poverty in some areas of India. Young boys, like the son of the priest, now wore shoes, but many others, like the rag pickers in my neighborhood, remained shoeless. Now she was thinking that maybe God has granted this prayer. Okay, the prayer was that please protect my shoes, I don't want to lose it. And that's why maybe now, maybe more or less every child is, able to afford shoes or chappals. But then she says, then she feels, but there are still children like these rag pickers who cannot afford shoes. Okay, so this is few anecdotes related to, we can say, shoes or chappals or barefoot children. Now we come to the background, or we can say come to the family background of these rag pickers. My acquaintance, okay, my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri. Now these rag pickers, where they live? They live in Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it, metaphorically. Actually, this is though on the outskirts of Delhi, but it seems that they are very far away from Delhi, because the things, or we can say the facilities which are available to the people of Delhi were not available to these people who are on the outskirts of Delhi only, okay, at Simapuri. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Okay, so these are squatters. Squatters means those people who have, we can say, no permanent houses. Okay, so they came over here in 1971 from Bangladesh. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. At that time, Simapuri was a wilderness. Wilderness means very deserted area, because this was outskirts of Delhi, so it was a deserted area. That's why maybe they were given this place to live over there. It still is, but it is no longer empty. And the writer, this is important, she feels that it is still that way, it is still that deserted area. Though deserted means maybe when no one lives, okay, but here people live over here, there are many families living, but still, if they talk about the facilities, there is no facility provided to them. So that way writer feels that it is still that way, it is still the wider area only. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, means there are huts only, okay, it's not cemented houses, mud houses only, and the roofs are not cemented roofs are having tins or tarpaulin, okay, and there is no sewage system. Devoid means without, devoid of sewage, drainage and running water. So there is no drinkable water available to them, no sewage system, no drainage, nothing, no facility actually. Live 10,000 rag pickers, but even then, in this area, near about 10,000 rag pickers live over here. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. She says though for the last 30 years they are living here, but even then, Indian government has not given any identity to them. They are not recognized, they are not given, they are not still called Indians, they are still refugees only, but even then, they have certain facilities, and this facility is of ration card, okay, and this ration card enables them to purchase goods, eatables on subsidy rates. Food is more important for survival than an identity. Now they are not given identity, means they are still refugees only, okay, but for these people from Bangladesh, they are not bothered, okay, that they are still called refugees, because for them food is more important, and food they are getting, so that's why they are not bothered, okay. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, okay, empty stomach, and because of emptiness, then sometimes children feel pain in their stomachs. So, empty stomachs or aching stomachs. We would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in tattered saris when I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Actually, this writer, she went over there, she met people over there, she talked to certain women, and she got to know that these women, they feel that yes, maybe as a mother, they are more satisfied when they see that their children have enough to eat over here. As parents, they are happy when they see that children are not sleeping with empty stomach. So, though their own land is very beautiful, green land, but for them, this greenery has no meaning if they remain hungry over there. So, this is what she got to know, that why these people are still ready to stay over here, live over here, though the conditions are not that good. No drainage system, no sewage system, no drinkable water, nothing is there. Even then, they are happy because they feel that at least they get that much to money to purchase food, etc. So for them, food is more important. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents and become transit homes. Transit means very small homes, which is transitory, which is not permanent, means wherever they get work, okay, they stay over here, they stay over there. So here also, when they got this opportunity to become the rag pickers, and they knew that okay, from this rag picking they can earn little bit, okay, so they remained here only, and they had no complaints that why this lowest job they are given over here in India. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival, and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Okay, so you may get this question also, that what is the means of survival over here in Simapuri, and here it is rag picking. Parents became rag pickers when they came, and when their children, we can say, grew. Actually, children grew over there. Okay, and they learned this thing only from their parents. So now parents and children both are doing the same business, same job, same work, that is rag picking. So this is means of survival for them. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Okay, this question you may get. In what way or why the writer feels that it has taken the proportion of a fine art? In what way it has become an art? Now, in what way it has become an art? That now even children also know that in rag picking, which thing is more important, which thing will fetch them more money when they go to sell this in the market. Okay, so now they know the different kinds of polythenes, different kinds of that garbage, and what the thing which they should take in their bag, etc. So this way now they know the pros and cons of each and every, of this trait, of this garbage picking. And garbage to them is gold. This is important line. You may get this line: elucidate, explain. Okay, long question also. In what way garbage is gold to them? Actually, from the garbage only they get their earnings. Okay, they get some money. It's from the garbage only. So that's why garbage is no less than a gold for them, because naturally this is means of survival. With the garbage only they get money, and with this money only they are feeding their children. So that's why this is gold for them. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is leaking roof. But for a child it is even more fun. So naturally, because of this garbage they get money, they get this house, they can manage to have this house, this roof, etc. So that's why they are happy. And for children, this is more adventurous. Okay, a little bit more for them. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. So this is what the children feel. Means when they are going early in the morning to collect the garbage for garbage picking, it's not that they are going to do some work. Actually, this is adventure for them. This is a game for them. And sometime when they get cash, hard cash also, 1 rupee coin, 10 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, so they feel more good. And that's why maybe they are more enthusiastic next day. Okay, so this way they enjoy this job. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging. Because there is hope of finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elder, it is means of survival. Actually, for the elderly people, for the parents, this is means of survival only. But for children, this is something wonderful. Why wonderful? Because this is having surprises every day. They do not know what they are going to get in the garbage. Sometimes the doll they get, sometimes the shoes they get, sometimes some other thing they get, which they don't sell in the market, and they keep it for themselves. So that's why they always feel that there is something, some or the other adventure, hidden in that garbage. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. So this shows that like normal children, like other children, they also want to lead a very normal life. They want to play, they want to have all the luxuries, but they know that they cannot afford. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says in a manner of an explanation. Actually, that day when she saw that he was standing at the gate looking at those people who were playing inside, she just looked at the shoes which he was wearing. Though these were not matching, but even then he said actually, means these were not very, good shoes. Actually, discarded by some other child only. But he himself only explained that this is not that I have stolen from somewhere. No. Actually, this is given to me this way. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, shoes even with a hole is a dream come true. Actually, this is no extent of poverty. This is actually poverty. That's why they are contented even with this kind of shoes. But the game he's watching so intently is out of his reach. This is what the writer feels. That he can wear these shoes because these are maybe given to him by somebody. But one thing is sure, he's not going to become the member of, because he will never earn that much. He will maybe never reach to that, standard, to that status where he would be given membership of this club. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in a distance. I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Does he like the job? Actually, one day, after a few days, once again, this writer met Sahib, and now this day Sahib was not having that bag on his shoulder, not with other boys. Now actually he was going to fetch milk, and he told that now I have stopped that job of garbage picking. Now I work as a helper at some tea stall, and there he gets 800 as a salary plus 3 meals. Suddenly this writer asked, okay, do you like this job? I ask, his face I see has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. But she saw that this boy is not very happy. He had lost that carefree look on his face. Why? Because actually when he was a rag picker, he was not having any boss who was dictating him. He was his own boss. He was his own master. Means whenever he wants to come, he would go, otherwise he will sit at home. But now when he is working under someone, he is to go, whether he likes or not, he is to do the work. And that's why he feels that maybe this canister, symbolically is heavier than the bag which he used to carry, and he used to go for rag picking. So students, so this is your first part of this chapter. In the next video we will do the second part. Thank you.